Alright, I'm here with Peter Kinch. This is Tim Francis, YoungDollarMakers.com. Peter Kinch is an incredibly successful and very decorated real estate investor and mortgage broker. Has been a best-selling author and also has wide acclaim through the Real Estate Investment Network, which is one of the premier real estate investing groups right across our proud nation here in Canada, and you guys have a claim internationally. I know a lot of people follow RAIN for news here. So we just heard Mr. Peter Kinch speak about a couple of really important topics, a couple of things that jumped out for me. One is the idea that when you're looking at a deal, be it real estate or business, instead of focusing on what you're going to make as far as money or whatnot, it's focusing on what you are going to become. Can you say more about that?
Well, Tim, the real point there is the idea is that eventually you're going to look to run out of your own money, your own capital, and at that point you're going to have to attract joint venture capital from a third party. So what I want to do is I want to focus on, with my clients, focus on what they're becoming in the process of spending their money, because they know their money's going to run out. And when it runs out, then they're going to be clamoring and like, how do I find joint venture capital? And that's the wrong time to start figuring it out. Start at the beginning, because you know that's an inevitability. You know that's going to happen. So if you can decide today, well, as I spend the money I do have, what am I learning and what am I becoming in that process? Because you got to become the person you need to be in order to attract the joint venture capital.
Okay, and what would be some B qualities that a person would become?
Well, first and foremost, let me reverse that and ask you, if you were looking to give money to somebody else, what would you need to see in that person before you would ever consider giving them your money? And those are the qualities you need to develop in yourself. So for everybody it's different. It might be you need more experience. You might need to have, I'm going to assume you have character and integrity. That's a given. Otherwise you're out of the game completely. But in the process, you might have to develop your own sense of confidence. The average person fails in joint venture partnering because they lack personal confidence. And Tim, here's a real key point, is that they are not cognizant of their own value. Sometimes when you're in a room like this, you'll develop a lot of skills, but it's like watching your children grow every day. You didn't notice them grow because you see it every day. Sometimes you're not aware of the value you actually have developed over that past year. So what I try to encourage people is, as they spend their seed capital, as they spend their money, focus on what they're becoming, almost be cognizant of it. Because you have to be aware of that in fact you've come from here to there and what you bring to the table, and that's what gives you the confidence. And to me, that's the biggest problem.
Awesome. Okay, now you also mentioned that in any business, tracking how you go about doing something, making a journal is something you'd recommended. That was incredibly valuable. Now, could you speak more about that?
Well, again, it's all about becoming cognizant of the value you bring to the table, and if you don't track it, you're going to go through the next year, you'll maybe buy something, you'll create a business, purchase some real estate, but you'll do it and you won't really be aware of your personal growth. What I'm trying to do is try to help people to systemize the process, not only from an obvious systemization perspective, but again, from a perspective of becoming very cognizant of their own growth. So that when somebody says, well, geez, Tim, what are you putting into this? You don't hum and haw and question your own value like it's a personal attack. You can look somebody in the eye and say, well, wait a second. Let me explain to you what I'm bringing to the table, because you know it. You own the process. And the systemization is really a process of learning how to own it.
Right. Okay. So if I know that what I'm bringing to the table is, I'm going to find tenants, and how I do that is I advertise, and so I'm keeping track of that, and I'm going, wow, that's something I really bring to the table. And then from there, I'm going to screen them, and then after that I'm going to place them, and then when they've got a problem, we're going to manage it this way, and all of a sudden we go, holy smokes, my job here in this deal is like 98 points long.
Right, but never assume that the party you're approaching appreciates or understands that.
Okay.
And that's the point there, because what's going to happen is they'll say, what are you putting into this? In other words, how much money are you putting in? What they're really saying is, my money is worth a heck of a lot more than your time and knowledge and what you're bringing to the table, because they're not stupid, they just don't know.
Yeah.
It's your job to educate them as to the value of what that is, but if you're not aware of it, how can you possibly expect them to? And that's really the key. So become aware of what you're becoming in the process, not what you're making.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for YoungDollarMakers.com, I'm Tim Francis. This is Peter Kinch, best-selling author and leading mind with the Real Estate Investment Network. Thank you so much for being with us here today in Vancouver at the conference and to do this quick little interview with me.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.